If you want to get stronger, you can go to the gym. And if you're interested in learning how to code, there's tons of classes you can take on that. But where do you go if you want to learn how to develop your confidence and your charisma? That's what I'm talking about today, and I want to share with you the 4 things that I've done in my life that have had the most impact on those 2 things in social situations. Work environments all across the board. So, the first one is for the type of person who might get into a conversation that feels like they very quickly run out of things to say, whether that happens after a minute or after 20 minutes. And the thing that I recommend, the class that I took that helped me the most with that is improv comedy. First off, because it is scary, right? To get there in front of people you don't know and try to be funny, let alone say anything, is a terrifying experience. And anything that pushes your comfort zone is going to help you in social situations. But that's not why I recommend improv comedy. In fact, there is something that is much, much stronger about that, and that's that you have nothing to go off of when you stand up there. You stand up there, your mind is blank, and all of a sudden the audience shouts out a suggestion, and you have to riff off that, which might sound like it's a very isolated incident, but really that's what all sorts of conversation are. You're talking to someone that give you a conversational thread, and then you have to riff on that. And that has helped me more than anything I've ever done. Continue conversations with people even when they start to stall. So check out improv comedy if that is something that you have identified as a problem in your life. The second thing that I recommend is for people who struggle with public speaking, and as far as I can tell, that's just about everyone. So if you're interested in this, check out Toastmasters. And if you're not familiar, Toastmasters is this nationwide group of people who have chapters in most major cities and even towns where they meet and help each other learn how to public speak. Now, this is fantastic because most of the chances that you're probably getting to public speak are very high stakes. We're talking best man speech. We're talking something that might get you a promotion, and that's going to freak you out. Toastmasters, extremely low stakes. Everyone is there to learn, so that helps a lot. But second, most of the chances you get to public speak are one and done. You're not getting really valuable feedback from it. So the second time you go in, you're struggling just as much. And Toastmasters is just the opposite. They have this amazing program and structure for teaching people how to become better. And it goes all the way down to the level where when you're speaking, there is someone in the audience who is counting the number of filler words that you used. And they will tell you at the end how many times you said how many times you said, how many times you said, And with this sort of detailed feedback, you could go piece by piece, making yourself a much stronger public speaker. I highly recommend it. I know that most companies will be very supportive if you did this. In fact, I used to go on Wednesdays during my lunch hour, and that would be the Toastmasters thing that I did, so it was not any extra time in my day. It was something that fit into my work schedule. I highly recommend checking that out if public speaking is something you want to improve in. The third thing is a bit different than the first two. And it's something that's going to help you in those situations where there's conflict that's about to occur. And I don't mean necessarily any sort of fight, but I mean that somebody might be up in your face and your heart starts to race. You're not sure how to respond to them, and that is martial arts. Now, I don't mean so you can punch them in the face, and you win the fight before you've even have to speak to them. What I mean is that the experience that you're likely to have in a martial arts class where you're sparring and somebody is trying to hit you, or you're doing jujitsu and somebody is on top of you trying to choke you, is of an elevated heart rate, rapid breathing, spiked adrenaline, and there's this fight or flight mode that you tend to enter the first time you do it. I know when I first into a BJJ class presenting jujitsu, I freaked out the first time that somebody was pinning me, trying to choke me. Now, what you learn to do through martial arts is to experience that, breathe through it, and remain calm so you can make the best plan of action to go forward. And this is what you need to do when those social situations or somebody gets up in your face or try to disrupt you, right? They're trying that oftentimes, whether there's this conflict, people try to push each other into fight or flight. And what you need to do is feel that. Feel the adrenaline rising. Feel your heart rate start to go up, the breathing start to go faster, and learn how to breathe into that so that you can take the best course of action forward. I know this might seem like they're not directly connected, but I promise you, that experience of dealing with that freak out calmly is going to serve you in so many situations where there's conflict, and even situations where it might not be on the surface, like you're sitting down to make your appeal for why you should get a raise or promotion, right? Your heart rate goes up, you start to freak out. If you have that experience of dealing with that in a situation where you're actually in physical combat, it becomes easier in those situations where the stakes are just social. The fourth thing that I recommend is the one that I personally did the most of, and I saw the most benefit from it. And that was taking any sort of social environment that I was invited to, whether it was a bar, a party, a nightclub, a networking event, and using that as an opportunity to see and test the kind of first impression that I was making. Because when you go out with your friends, you've already made your first impression. If you tell a boring story, it's not like they're going to disappear into the bathroom and never be heard from again. But when you go out to a bar or you're at a networking event and you start to tell a boring story or a boring fact about yourself in the first 2 minutes, people, they get out of there. They excuse themselves. They get on their phones. They go to the bathroom, and you get very, very good real-time feedback as to what is fascinating and interesting to a stranger and to what is boring. And if you start to pay attention to this and you sort of split test, you do one conversation slightly differently. You lead talking about something that fascinates you, and then you do another conversation talking about your work, and you see which of those tend to go better. You're going to learn about yourself. Well, this is interesting. People are most fascinated, in my case, by my passion for music, or people are most fascinated by the fact that I have this really, really interesting job. Whatever it is, when you start to test those things, you're going to see that there are aspects of yourself that are more fascinating to strangers than others. And when you lead with those, you get a chance to connect with more people. So go out, be a bit of a scientist, and then afterwards, whether it's at the end of the night or during the middle of the day, whenever you leave this event, go and play back the different interactions that you had in your head. Compare the ones that went well to the ones that didn't, and see what was different, right? And that's going to start to help you to learn about yourself and the things that are truly fascinating about you, and the way that you present yourself. What you're going to find is that when you have higher energy, you're more engaged, you're talking about things that excite you, you're probably going to have conversations that go better. So those are the 4 things that I personally found most helpful in my experience trying to be more charismatic and confident. Now, of course, at that time, there was no Charisma on Command course on how to make amazing first impressions. And since then, I've tried to go back and take everything that I learned from all those experiences, taking what was good, throwing out what stunk, and put them into one place. So, if you're interested in that, you're interested in making amazing first impressions, we've set up a video where you can see, basically, the underlying thing that I discovered in my dream, which is that there are 4 emotions that create an amazing first impression on anyone if you hit them in the right order, and that extends to people in the workplace, people socially, if you're interested in dates. It doesn't matter. These are human triggers. So if you're curious what those 4 emotions are in the order that you ought to be hitting them in, because a lot of people are doing it wrong, go ahead, click the link here. It will take you to another page where you can drop your email and be taken directly to that video. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. If you have any suggestions or questions, comments, things that you'd like to see me cover, go ahead, write them below in the comments. Of course, if you're not yet subscribed, we have new videos every Monday, and we're starting based on feedback from you guys. We'll continue, if you like it, to do throwback videos on Thursday of old stuff that you might not have seen from us, updated, cooler, with a nice little background here. So hopefully, guys, you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.